after we've moved through the living system, when we move into the living system and start to actually talk about what it is, we then move into the bridge. But one of the things that we do talk about a lot within that space, before we get to that, is 3 very important components of what the living system is. And that is time and space and entrainment. Time and space are 2 things that we have had withheld from us amongst colonialism, that have been quietly almost forgotten or removed from our awareness. To fit into the system, time is contracted. Time of how long we have within a day to express or to be or to offer or to serve, and how we offer that is contracted into a linear concept of really what matters is 9 to 5, or really what matters is how we are held within those constraints of time. And when we contract time, we contract space. And everything that we are as life in any form requires space to be. So the minute we are pulled in from that space, we are held tight, and we get health issues and we get mental health issues, because our energy, which is fluid, which is constantly seeking to flow and express and release and do all those things, it's held in a ball by time and space, constricted to fit into a system that says this is where you have to fit and this is how you have to function. So we're held like this, little captives, regardless, right? Really pulled in from every capacity that we have into this concept of time and space being linear. If there's one thing that every part of life needs to grow or to function or to express, it's space. And we go back to obvious things. It's just a ball of clay until you give it space and it becomes a vase, right? Everything is simply held until you give it space to form. A cell is just a cell until you give it the space for it to become a human or a dog or anything like that. So we all need space to become. So if I pull you in on time and draw you into believing that you literally have only this lifetime to exist, you're born and you die and you need to achieve and succeed within that, I'm going to contract you into that timeline framework, and I'm going to pull you in with your space and capacity, because nothing else matters except how I can create within that timeline, hard, fast, to be a success, to achieve. I'm going to pull myself into all of that. And instead of allowing ourselves to exist beyond this lifetime, to have existed before this lifetime, to express outside of that tiny little line as all the different things that we are. So it's a very silent and mostly unspoken about component of colonialism that really restricts us into our real becoming. And the other piece is entrainment. And we spoke a little bit about that the other day. Let me see if I can bring that one up. If I can see it. Yep, there's a lot, I know. And so that's the whole point, right? There's all these different pieces and tools and creations that allow us to I can't see you over there. Got it. So entrainment, this is actually a really interesting part. So what is embodiment? Embodiment is to be an expression of something. It means to give a tangible or visible form to something, and it means to include or contain something. So when we seek to embody something, it brings it form, right? It allows embodiment to come in, and we give it form for a moment through us. We embody it. It allows what may be unseen to be seen, and it brings a visible and real context to something. This is what embodiment is. What is it to entrain? The process of entrainment aligns one thing to another. It's mostly used in biology, and it's sort of been, taken away from a lot of our language. It brings a pattern and familiarity to each other, and it allows one thing to have the same rhythm as something else. So entrainment in biology is when an internal rhythm of one cell synchronizes with the beat of an outer cell. And between people and the environment, we have a circadian rhythm that speaks to us to sleep and when to wake. We are unknowingly, mostly, one with it already. We just have stepped outside of it. So when we entrain something, we are one with it. And so arguably we go on to talk about how living the one living system through entrainment says that we are one with the system. We're returning to it. We are formed through it and we move from it. So there is one heartbeat, there is one relation, and we are in symbiosis with it all the time. So it's easy. It's there. It's waiting for us. It's who we actually are. The more we allow ourselves to step back into that rhythm, that system, that beat is there. And so often one of the poems I talk about is laying on the earth, right? But don't just lay with your back. Put your heart on it, right? Let your heartbeat meet her heartbeat and let that rhythm come back in to play. So you are beating as one and feeling as one again. And then you are moving with the cycles of the land. You are moving with the rhythm of the land and everything that is being created. And this even, gets into talking about how, okay, we've got, this again, one of the things that I haven't done because it's going to be an enormous task is take the lemniscate through the journey of the book into, one of these small ones to really show how each part of the lemniscate is sort of happening constantly through there. So taking your heart, let the internal rhythm of your heart be a part of the earth and allow that relational aspect to come back into play because it is really what is functioning within us. We just don't know it. And it allows us to live that truth, right? That truth that is the land calling through us and all the rest of it, instead of trying to apply ourselves to this outside force, this outside sort of system. So that's really just brings us, the entrainment really helps us to understand circular time after we've spoken about time, and it really allows us to come back into what circular time is because it allows us to see that through circular time we have awareness of all different things. We have awareness of ourselves, but we have awareness also of all that else is around us, the more than self, as well as the sacredness and everything of ourselves. With entrainment, we're talking again, so how do we make room for all the elements within us? And this is a really big piece of questioning again about how do you experience air? What is water for you? How do you know fire? To really ask where you see those elements running through your life and how you play with any of those things and where they take hold and where you probably have too much of one thing and not enough of another, and where that prevents a flow, especially of feeling and emotion, because obviously that emotion and feeling is running through those elements constantly. They are that expression, right, that we are allowing to move through us. So if you have too much fire, obviously there's more anger and things. If there's too much air, you're too much up in your head, right? So allowing yourself to be in balance with all of these elements and express through different things helps you to entrain because everything else is in harmony.